Okay, you might be wondering, what am I doing with this white laptop right here? Well, I finally got my hands on this. This is the ThinkPad X9. This is the 15-inch version with the brand new color. It is called the Glacier White, and you can actually see it here. It's actually pretty gorgeous. It is stunning, actually. One of my complaints on the ThinkPad X1 Carbon Gen 13 is you get a lot of fingerprints, right? So if you take a look at this, it's already showing fingerprints, and I hardly even touched it. I had wiped it down earlier, but it shows smudges. So one of my biggest complaints of an otherwise amazing laptop under a kilogram here, but you know, it does collect fingerprints. Even on the P1, the Gen 8 that I just reviewed, this also shows fingerprints. I don't want to drop this, but really, this is so good. I don't care about the fingerprints. This is so good. Check out my review. But this is pretty freaking gorgeous. So this comes in this glacial white, or Glacier White, I should say. And you can see here, and let's take a look at this keyboard here. So this is the famous ThinkPad keyboard, although modified here on a more modern take on a ThinkPad. So one thing you'll notice is there's no track point, one of the inherent parts of a ThinkPad, right? So you don't have that, but yet they still call it a ThinkPad. So that's where a lot of the controversy lies. Why did they call this a ThinkPad? Why not perhaps a ThinkBook? That could have been one way to go. But you know, I don't really care about a name as long as it is a good laptop, and this certainly is an amazing laptop in a lot of ways. So I've already reviewed one version of this in the Thunder Gray. So I looked at the 14-inch, which we have right here, and you can see it here. So this, and let's get a look at this. Thunder Gray, you can actually obviously still get this. This is the standard color, not the Eclipse Black you get on, say, something like the X1, but on the X9, you get Thunder Gray is what they're calling it, right? Thin, light, great, 14-inch. There are some key differences we'll get into in a moment between the 15.3-inch version and the 14-inch version, but you can still get this, right? So this is new. You can get it in the 14. You can get it in this 15.3-inch as I have here. So I reviewed both the 14 and the 15.3. I'll leave links for my reviews in the description below. The key differences between the two, and again, I'm going to cut to the chase. They are both pretty amazing, but there are some, you know, subtle differences that might make a difference depending on what features you're looking for. They both have touchscreens. They're both 2.8K resolution. They're both OLED, and you can see them here, and they are excellent, right? So there is a bit of a screen door effect that I did notice on these. With you have a white background. I didn't notice it on the P8, but I did notice it on these, so I did want to report that. But that is not a major issue for me, at least. You know, you have to look really close. It has a pen layer on this one, but there is no pen layer on this one. So you can use the pen. Again, not a big deal because it's not a convertible, but you can see this one does have pen support. This one does not. So that's one key difference between the two. They both have touch support, but again, pen support limited to the 14-inch. That's one key difference. The other key difference is this can peak as high as 1100 nits in HDR. This goes to about 600 nits in HDR and about 500 nits in standard dynamic range on the 2.8K OLED version, 400 nits on the full HD IPS version, I believe, or the full HD version, whatever they're offering. This one can go to 500 nits, standard dynamic range, can peak as high as 1100 nits in HDR. So that is the one key difference between the 15 and the 14. Now, the 15.3-inch also has a haptic touchpad. This one is Sensile on the 14-inch. This one is not, but they both work very well. I had no issue on this one or the Thunder Gray version of the 15-inch that I looked at a few months back. Very responsive scrolling, doing all your gestures. Everything works very well. So I really didn't have any issue. The fact that they didn't go with Sensile on here. They didn't do Sensile, by the way. I don't think they did on the P1 Gen 8 that I just looked at. That one, of course, is an Elan drivers, right? So that is what we looked at. And on this one, on the 14-inch, we have the haptic touchpad made by Sensile. So this was worked out really well. And of course, I like Sensile, but the fact that this doesn't have the Sensile really, it's not a huge deal because I think they're both very good. You can control a lot of the haptic vibration, haptic feedback in the settings, so that has worked out pretty well. And you can see they both work very well, doing gestures, everything works as you'd expect. Now, it does come with a pretty compact 65-watt power supply, USB Type-C, and it's pretty travel-friendly, but I opted for, when I got the 14-inch, I opted to get this. This is the 65-watt GAN charger. And again, take a look at this one. This one is so super compact. It's almost like a phone charger, a smartphone charger. It's that compact, and it's a GAN charger, 65 watts, and it's the perfect travel companion. You get USB Type-C cord over there. And then, of course, again, you know, this goes really well. Now, one thing I would have liked to have seen, whether it was the standard charger or this, to have a white version to match the Glacier white. The one they give you in the box is the same one you get on the Thunder Gray. And of course, that is black. So would have been nice to go with a little bit of an accent to match this white finish. Let me know your thoughts. But again, this is really, really good in terms of a small compact charger. All right, let's get a measurement of the weight in kilograms. With just the unit alone, we're looking at 1.452 kilograms, and that is 3 pounds, 3.2 ounces. So not too bad. Now let's put it back into kilograms. Let's see what this 65-watt, really slim, ultra compact charger here, the GAN charger, and that one is 1.587 kilograms, and that just brings it to 3 pounds, 8.1 ounces, so not much difference in weight. So really a great travel package for a 15.3-inch laptop. Now let's talk about this Glacier White, and I paired it here with this Logitech MX Master 4 that I've been using, and that's a nice color combination, I think, when you get it in this, like, it's like almost like an off-white, and this is the Glacier White. I think they look nice together. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Yeah, I think they do go well. So I'll leave links for everything. But I did a video on this. By the way, my favorite mouse so far in 2025. Great accessory for this. You can see this has that bar on the bottom. That is where the fans are. And you have the same port selection. And let's take a look at the ports on this. So let's start off on the right side. You get a Thunderbolt 4 USB 4.0 full function. You get a headphone jack, and you get your USB Type A port. That's on the 15-inch, something you don't get, by the way, on the 14-inch, a USB A. So that's another differentiator between the two. On the left, you get a HDMI 2.1 and another USB-C 4.0 Thunderbolt 4 port, and that is, of course, full function as well. That is the ports, no SD or micro SD card reader. And that is a little bit of a shame, of course, but would have liked to have seen 5.0 in terms of Thunderbolt, but, you know, not a big deal. But one difference between this and, say, its sibling, or its cousin, I should say, the X1, is that this one has both of those Thunderbolt 4 ports on the right, or the left side, I should say, and nothing on the right side. So I would like those split up. This is split up, a little bit more convenient on this one, in my opinion. Of course, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And then when you look at this 14-inch here, so on the left side, you get HDMI, you get your Thunderbolt 4, and then on the right side, another Thunderbolt 4, and then a headphone jack. No USB-A like you get on the 15. So that is the one key difference, another key difference, I would say, between the 14 and this 15.3-inch display. And then, of course, you can open this with one finger if that is something important to you. It has an IR camera. We looked at it in the video. Really nice quad speakers on this. Let's give it a listen, actually, and let's see how it sounds. Of course, we heard it back in that review, but why not listen to it here right now? 14-inch. Inch. 15-inch. Okay, I thought they both sounded pretty good here. Actually, really good. So the 14-inch had some nice speakers. I think the 15-inch a little bit more oomph, a little bit more bass maybe, but very similar. just a little bit, maybe louder on the 15-inch. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, but both sounded really, really good. So not only does it have good audio, it's got great displays here, as I mentioned. And again, I did all this in the reviews that I did on their respective reviews, and of course, links in the description below. But you also have good upgradability. You've got upgradable SSDs on these. That's one thing you can upgrade. Of course, these are both running Lunar Lake, so those are system on a chip as far as memory. You cannot upgrade that as a user, and they can peak or go as high, I should say, as 32 gigabytes of that very fast LPDDR5X 8533 mega transfers per second on these. So again, very good in that regard. The other thing is I did the Core Ultra 5 on the 15-inch. This is the Core Ultra 7. I did the Core Ultra 7 on this one. This actually is one sent by Lenovo, but the one I bought had the Core Ultra 5. And the difference is going to be minimal between the Ultra 5 and the Ultra 7. So if you're going to go with the Ultra 5, I think you're perfectly fine. Now, I think, and again, I could be wrong on this, I'll have to double check this. I think this might only be available in the Core Ultra 7. This one has the 258V. It has the Intel Arc 140V graphics, which I am certainly impressed with this year in 2025. Now, I can't help but think what Panther Lake is going to look like on this with upgraded graphics. So I'm hoping they'll make a Gen 2 on these and, of course, go to the latest processor. And I can't help but think maybe if Strix Halo would be great on something like this, maybe AMD, they can strike a deal. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but I could have a wish list, right? That being said, I think the overall performance on these has been good enough. So look, Lunar Lake, you got 8 cores, 8 threads. You're not going to be blown away by synthetic benchmark results. You're going to do much better on a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro with the M4 Max, M4 Pro, and all that stuff. And of course, the M5 we just saw on the updated MacBook Pro 14-inch. So you're going to get better single and multi-core performance. But of course, in real world, you really won't notice much of a difference when you're doing a Microsoft or Word document, an Excel spreadsheet. You're not going to notice the difference. Just keep that in mind. And of course, you have touchscreens on these, something you can't do on a Mac. So, you know, upgradable storage, yada, yada, yada. We've gone into it ad nauseum in all my videos. So you can see the difference between the two. Now, that being said, performance is certainly good enough, as I mentioned. You could do light 4K video editing on these. Of course, I don't have any issues with compatibility because this is x86. Intel, everything works. Unlike some Snapdragon X Elite, X Plus, and so forth we've seen with the ARM-based processors in Windows, so not any issue here. So one of the differentiators between this and something with the Snapdragon-based laptops, ARM-based, is that you have everything working without any issues. So that is one advantage I think you have here. Battery life is off the charts on these. Of course, I did the bigger battery on this one. This is the 80 watt-hour battery. This has a smaller one. And you saw the difference in the numbers, over 20 plus hours, depending on which test, of course, depending on your type of use case scenario, because everybody's a little bit different. But I got consistently over 20 hours in some of the tests that I ran on this. So very, very impressive indeed with the 15.3 inch. Even the 14 inch with the smaller battery obviously still did very well, despite having a high res 2.8K OLED display, 120 hertz on both, variable refresh rates. You can do the dynamic thing, and it really is very good as far as I'm concerned. But what I think is really special here, and we can put this to the side here, is this really gorgeous Glacier white finish. I mean, this thing is absolutely stunning in my opinion. And, you know, get a look at it because this thing is just so stunning. Now, let's talk pricing here. So I think I paid about $17.99 for this, and then you get 1 terabyte of storage. You get the 32 gigabytes of the memory that's not upgradable. It's very fast memory, 8533 mega transfers per second, as I mentioned. But that's the most you can do on Lunar Lake. Nothing limited here by Lenovo. And a terabyte of the SSD storage, nearly $2,000, obviously, or whatever it was, all said and done here in Las Vegas. You know, you don't necessarily have to go with the white version. You can go with the Thunder Gray, which is perfectly fine. This will show less fingerprints, of course, and it just looks pretty stunning. So if you're into aesthetics and if you're into just having the best looking laptop, I mean, this doesn't get much better than this. Now, for those purists, for ThinkPad purists, I'm talking to you right now, you know, is this a traditional ThinkPad? No, it's not. Is it a great laptop? Absolutely. So yeah, it doesn't have the track point. So if you're not interested in this, I understand you want the track point. Maybe they could have put one in here with the little red accent, obviously would look great. Haptic touchpad worked fine. But of course, you don't get any haptic buttons over here for the track point, because there is no track point, obviously, but the haptic touchpad worked very well, and the keyboard is very good. Now, it has 1.35 millimeters of key travel as opposed to, say, something like, I think, 1.5 on the X1. So for those purists, those ThinkPad purists, like I said, if you want more traditional, go with this. This is the ThinkPad X1. And again, under a kilogram here this year, depending on the SKU, of course. But this one, non-touch OLED 2.8K. I mean, this thing is just unbelievable. You throw this in your bag, you hardly notice it's even there. And you can be productive. It's got a gorgeous display. Good port selection, although I'd like to see those split up, those Thunderbolt 4 ports. But yeah, not much to complain about, right? Under a kilogram. This one is heavier, not much heavier in really grand scheme of things. I mean, for a 15.3-inch laptop, it's great. It's got pretty good hinges, although if you go like this, it does come down a little bit. And as you can see, it has a 180-degree hinge, or almost 180 degrees, as you see there. Yeah, pretty much 180. And you know, look, when you're typing, there is no screen wobble that I really am concerned about here. Let's get a look and a listen at the keyboard. Let's hear how it sounds. And again, it's different, a little bit different, I would say, than the X1 Carbon. Is it better or worse? I don't know. It's just different, right? But still good nonetheless. Now let's give it a listen. Okay, I did 96% accuracy and 75 words per minute. I would get a little bit better if I start using this more and more, but very good keyboard. Now, look, I think I like this one a little bit better. This is still my favorite keyboard of maybe of all time here, or one of them, right? So this has a little bit more key travel than this one. This has pretty satisfying clicking, you know, typing on it. The overall feedback has been satisfying. This is just a little bit better in my opinion, but this is a great keyboard. Don't get me wrong. I just think this one is just that little something extra that you get from a traditional ThinkPad keyboard. Okay, so I did 94% accuracy, 73 words per minute. Again, you got to get acclimated. I find this a little bit more satisfying than that one, although that one's pretty good as well. So I don't really have a problem. I actually like this quite a bit in terms of the keyboard. So this is the camera on the ThinkPad X9 15-inch here with the Glacier white finish. And of course, this is an 8-megapixel IR webcam. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality? It has all the studio effects. You got the auto framing, the background effects. You got the standard blur, portrait blur. Excellent camera here. What is it? How do you think it looks? And let me know, maybe most importantly, how does it sound? But let me know your thoughts on it. What do you think about this white finish here? Is it something you're interested in? How does it look to you? Do you like it better than the Thunder Gray finish you can get on the X9? What are your overall thoughts of the X9 as we are heading into 2026? We're rounding out the year. And of course, I'm going to be doing the best of 2025. Expect that next week before Black Friday, obviously. So I'm going to be working, all week on that. So a lot of work ahead of me. But of course, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and let me know your thoughts in general. What do you think about the X9 as a new addition here this year to the ThinkPad line? Should it have been called the ThinkBook? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.